Marathon Offshore Challenge TV preview. Well, race day is almost here. Tomorrow morning, the preparations will be hastily made, and the race will start at noon right off Ferro Blanco and Marathon. Close to 15,000 spectators are expected in the Middle Keys to line the course in boats and on the 7-mile bridge to watch this spectacular race. Without a doubt, the biggest and best Marathon Offshore Challenge to date. This is the third year. The race is run as the first race on the APBA circuit in Marathon, and they are expecting well close to 55 boats. As of this morning, at about 9 o'clock, close to 50 boats had already registered. 55 boats were expected by tomorrow's race time. Super boats will be racing open class faster than ever before, and modified pro stock, as well as the sportsman class will be racing. The big event happening, of course, at the race is the filming of MGM's Blue Lightning. Directed by Paul Michael Glacier, this is a film release expected for the summer of 1989. They'll be filming race segments at Marathon tomorrow, so you could get your mug in the pitcher. We'll have all the details for you coming up on the 1988 Bud Light Marathon Offshore TV preview right here on TCI Channel 5. We'll be right back. Welcome back to TCI Channel 5. JR for the Concord Republic Offshore Powerboat Racing Association with the 1988 Bud Light Marathon Offshore Powerboat Championship TV preview. It's going to be an exciting race tomorrow. As we said, over 50 boats already registered for the race, and for the first time ever, the super boats will be racing in Marathon for the first race of the APBA season. Some really quick open class boats will be there, and right now we have some footage of some of the boats you'll be seeing in Marathon. Beginning at noon, the race starts right off Ferro Blanco. Will, of course, lead the pack as they go out, and you'll be seeing Al Copeland racing in Marathon along with the Jesse James and the Chunky Express, a 47-foot Apache DV. Those are the three boats to really watch for in the Superboat category, and with the winds picking up, it's going to be a real challenge out there. As we cut to the footage, you'll see last year's world champion in the Superboat category, Tom Gentry, in his Gentry Turbo Eagle. And he is, of course, always tagged along by Popeyes in the Fried Chicken Diet Coke, the 50-foot catamaran. Now, at this point in time, we really don't know which boat Al Copeland will be running, either his old 50-foot catamaran or his brand new super lightweight 50-foot catamaran with a safety capsule and 4 Ford kinetic engines in it. So it's going to be a wait-and-see situation as to which boat Popeye will run tomorrow. He has both boats in Marathon. Racing action off of Sarasota being watched right here, and many of these boats you'll be seeing racing in Marathon tomorrow. Starting right now with the super boats and the open class, and right now you'll be seeing Al Copeland and Gentry Turbo Eagle. Now, this boat you won't be seeing in Marathon. He doesn't have to race the APBA circuit this year because he's the defending world champion. You'll remember him winning in Key West in 1987, the Gentry Turbo Eagle. There's Al Copeland and Bill Soroyce in the Popeyes Diet Coke. That boat could be racing tomorrow. His old 50-foot catamaran is in Marathon, and at this time, we really don't know whether or not Copeland will race his brand new 50-foot lightweight Popeyes Guts catamaran. In the open class, there's a boat you'll see with a different name on the side, but the same guys driving it, Bob Kaiser and Errol Lanier, in the Swift Shore Motor Yachts boat, formerly known as the GK Systems and the ACR Systems boat. There's the Spirit of America, the winner of last year's Marathon Offshore Challenge. John Antonelli and Craig Maudsley will guide that boat with brand new Kramer power and Artisan surface drives. That's a very quick boat. There's Craig Berry in the Coors Silver Bullet. That's a DV hull he raced last year. In Marathon tomorrow, you'll be seeing him race a catamaran with a former 1985 world champion by the name of A.J. Roberts Jr. There's a nice Seahawk boat, 41-foot boat that won the world championship in Key West in 1987. A 38-foot Cougar catamaran that you'll be seeing a lot of in Marathon. The preliminary start at noon of the 1988 Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge will be the super boats and the open class boats beginning right about noontime, and they're projecting that this race will get started on time for the first time in 3 years, and there hopefully will be no delays. The second group of boats to start, you'll see starting right off the 7 Mile Bridge, will be the modified Pro Stock and Stock boats, which we have some footage from the 1987 circuit for you, which we will cut to right now. Right now, watching the start of the modified and Pro Stock classes. These boats are really competitive. Smaller class boats, about 30 to 32 feet in length, with small block engines, but quite capable of speeds in comparison to the open class boats. And the boats to watch for in the Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge tomorrow will be the American Dream, the defending World UIM APBA champion, and the Dirty Laundry. Those two boats will be out in front. Now, this is a boat, special edition, we're all familiar with. This year, John D'Elia moving up to open class in a Jaguar Cat. The American Dream, before the spectacular paint job was put on it, the red, white, and blue job, in that 30-foot Shadow Cat. There's a boat to watch for also, the Baja Bandit, John Sosselin. That boat has a different name. In Marathon, you'll see Cat on it, K-A-T, the new name for that 30-foot Baja catamaran. Very competitive boat in rough water. Another great boat to watch for will be the Dirty Laundry. Now, this is the Jolly Rancher, Mike Drury, president of OPT, the new Offshore Professional Tour, is racing in that boat. He won't be racing in Marathon, however, he will be on hand representing OPT. But the boat I was speaking of, the 32-foot skater, Dirty Laundry, with Joe Mock and his brand-new throttleman Hurley Step, will be a tough boat to beat in Marathon. The winds are up, seas are going to be about 4 to 6 feet on the outside, and this is a rough water catamaran. Joe knows how to take the rough water. Also in Pro Stock now, as we look at one of the triple engine outboard classifications, these boats are also capable of some very high speeds. A very large fleet of Pro Stock boats will be racing off Marathon, and I expect that possibly to be the most competitive of the 5 different classifications of racing. Boat to watch for right there is Nicky Kutro's boat, but it goes under the name of E&B Maelstrom. And that is a 32-foot Maelstrom catamaran. Look for Nicky Kutro, a former world champion, to do well in Marathon. Triple engine outboard classification, these boats are all primarily powered up by the same amounts of power, but it's a very competitive class, and you'll see some really swift racing in Marathon tomorrow. However, as I said, with the winds kicking up and the seas kicking up, it looks like it's going to be a rough race. Don't look for any world record speeds to be set in Marathon tomorrow. For the Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge, many different great places to watch the race from, but one thing I would really like to stress is that you get up into the Marathon area early in the morning. The race is scheduled to start at noon, but because of the link going into Marathon from the 7 Mile Bridge, it's always very congested as the race nears. Get in to the Marathon area around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. Set up either on the 7 Mile Bridge, somewhere down on Sombrero Beach, Key Colony Beach, or possibly the Ferro Blanco or the Buccaneer, and you will be able to get yourself a nice spot to watch the race from. If you're taking your boat up there, some of the great places to watch the race from, well, right off of Turn 1 at the 7 Mile Bridge is a great spot to watch the race from. Right off Fat Deer Key at marker number 4 is another really good place to watch the race from, or at Sombrero Key Light. Just, of course, please be advised to advise anyone driving their boats to remain in the spectator areas, stay behind the check boats, and follow any instructions that you might be given by sweep boats and check boats as they're setting up for the race. It's going to be a very rough race. From what it looks like, winds will be out of the east-southeast at about 20 miles per hour. So that's going to make for a good chop, 4 to 6 feet on the outside. That's the roughest this race has ever been. In 3 years, this has always been a flat water race. And in fact, 2 years ago, Willie Falcone ran at over 98 miles per hour on the course. That was his average speed, the 5th fastest time in offshore history. And last year, John Antonelli's speed of over 100 miles per hour was the 3rd fastest time ever recorded in offshore history. And don't forget, we have the team that put together the fastest time in offshore history at over 108 miles per hour, that being Errol Lanier and Bob Kaiser in the Swisher Motorhomes boat. That boat, which is the former ACR Systems, holds that world record. So we have some boats that are very quick. However, I don't expect to see them hitting speeds on the average of over 98 miles an hour because of the rough conditions that will be experienced tomorrow in Marathon. So as I said, if you're going to get your boat out there, get it out early. get a good position and stay in a safe position behind sweep boats and check boats and follow all commands that are given as they try and make the course secure and get the race started on time, which is scheduled for noon. We'll have more details on the 1988 Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge coming your way right here on TCI Channel 5 as the preview continues. Welcome back to TCI Channel 5 as we continue with the 1988 Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge preview, brought to you, of course, by the Concord Public Offshore Powerboat Racing Association. I'm JR of WOW 92.5 FM and WKIZ Sports, and we, of course, will be broadcasting the race live tomorrow right off of Ferro Blanco as this third annual event gets underway. Over 50 boats in the race. It's going to be a really interesting race. This is the first year it's been as rough as it has been. Probably what is making this race even more interesting than ever before is the fact that MGM is coming into Marathon. In fact, arrived there yesterday to film their major motion picture release for the summer of '89, Blue Lightning, directed by Paul Michael Glacier. They have 7 cameras set up all across the race site, on the bridge, from choppers. They'll be filming off boats off the Sombrero Key Light. They'll be doing all kinds of things, and they, in fact, have 2 boats registered in the race that will race an open class, and you'll see these 2 boats. Probably never seen them before because of that fact. Flying Blind, a 39-foot Fountain Marine DV, is racing, and also Caliente, which is a 38-foot Couve. It's an Italian boat. Now, when you see these boats built up and painted up, you'll notice that the Caliente is a black boat, sort of sinister looking, and it ought to be. It's the boat that in the movie the bad guy character will be driving. And then the Flying Blind is, of course, the Top Gun kind of offshore racer. This is a movie about offshore. They'll be filming race segments which will be used in the film for its release in 1989. And get on out there looking for big crowds. They want to put the crowds in the movie. So get on out with the whole family and enjoy the spectacle that is the filming of Blue Lightning of the 1988 Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge. Right now we have more footage for you, and we'll take a look at some of the stock boats. Stock A and B now is one classification. The catamarans and the DVs all racing together. We have some more Superboat open class footage for you right now as we cut to the videotape. Stock racing is probably the most interesting of all in offshore in the APBA. These boats are all identical, mostly 24-foot skaters with the same exact power with twin 200 Mercuries on the back. And this is the most competitive class of all. You'll really get a big kick out of watching these guys. There's over a dozen registered race in Marathon, and as I said, it really goes back to skill. These guys all have the same power. Nobody's got more power than anybody else, and they'll all be racing with, with all the determination that and competition that is always prevalent in stock racing. There's the Panama Jack already in Marathon for the race. They, of course, were in Marathon last year. It's a beautifully prepared skater hull. This is some really great race footage from the Sarasota Offshore Grand Prix from 1987, one of the many APBA races from last year. There's Team Scarab in Marathon for the Offshore Challenge. These boats, as I said, are all identical, stock power, and we spoke to Ted Bettine of Team Scarab about that.
Okay, your standard production engine is your 200 horsepower V6, what you see running your Stock A class and Stock B. These engines, the same thing as the V6, except what we do is we bring the power heads in, we change the exhaust port timing, all your timing internally, your ports. We run different pistons, different reeds, and these engines here are fuel injected. So we get, the horsepower is up maybe 20%. We get these power heads right off the assembly line in Fond du Lac. They come up to our high performance facilities, and then we just take them in and through our 2-cycle division and just do the necessary work.
That's in the smaller.
Ted Bettine of California, one of the few West Coast racers on the APBA circuit. More Superboat footage here, and you'll see how Copeland and Bill Royce in their 50-foot Popeyes Cat smoking the Gentry Turbo Eagle. Has Tom Gentry obviously having some problems in that particular moment. And as I said before, it's kind of questionable at this time what Popeyes is going to do. I tend to think he's probably going to run that boat right there, the old reliable 50-foot catamaran, as he's probably trying to work some of the kinks out on this brand new 50-footer he has that's almost 2/3 as light as this big aluminum hull boat that he has been racing for the last 5 years in Superboat, the very first Superboat and the world's winningest boat in offshore history. Al Copeland will be in marathon racing. There's, of course, Bob Kaiser, Errol Lanier, the defending national high point champions in the Systems boat, which is going under the name of Swiss Shore Motor Yachts. Nice shot of the boat and the chopper right there, and you'll see quite a few choppers in marathon in the air for the challenge tomorrow. There's Jack Clark and Ed Martinez in the Thriller, a very state-of-the-art 35-foot Jaguar catamaran. He's being passed by Spirit of America. That's, of course, John Antonelli. John, with his new throttle man, Craig Mosley, will be racing with their Arneson surface drives tomorrow for the first time, as they switched over to some very innovative Arneson surface drives, and they expect to have about 5-10 miles per hour extra in that boat. That boat right there, a 38-foot Apache catamaran, will go under the names of Canada Homes Challenge. Will be throttled by Bob Idoni and will be driven by Lauren Leibel of Canada. Bob Idoni, one of the best in the world at throttling, and he's beautifully prepared that 38-foot Apache catamaran to race in marathon tomorrow. And if anybody can handle the rough seas, there's no doubt that Bob Idoni can. Nice safety capsules on that boat, very state-of-the-art looking open class field. Will be racing in marathon beginning at noon tomorrow once again for the Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge. Lauren Leibel from you might remember him as the driver of the Molson Indy boat that raced 2 years ago here in Key West, which was a DV. So this is interesting for Lauren. He'll be racing in a catamaran for the first time ever on the APBA circuit. And as I said, he couldn't have picked anybody better to do it with than Idoni, who has plenty world championships under his belt. There's another one of the beautifully prepared 38-foot Cougar catamarans that you'll be seeing, the Swiss Shore Marine boat and also the Spirit of America boat. All are the 38-foot Cougar catamaran builds, and no one has won more world championships in boats built by Cougar, and Cougar Marine, of course. Craig Berry in the Silver Bullet. Now, Craig has got a new boat this year. He's raced DVs for years and years, and this year he is teaming up with A.J. Junior Roberts to run in a 38-foot catamaran for the first time. So, also, Berry is moving from a DV to catamaran. As you can see, APBA Offshore Racing is becoming a catamaran-oriented racing circuit, whereas speed has become the key factor. And in these DVs, you just can't go over 80, 90 miles per hour, whereas in the cats, you can do well over 110, 120 miles per hour. So be looking for that boat. There's Peter Hidalgo in his American Dream, and we, of course, have been watching footage of the Sarasota Offshore Grand Prix. When we come back on the 1988 Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge TV preview, we're going to take a look at the race course, take you all the way around it, and possibly give you some good ideas where to set up, where to watch the race from, as we continue to set the stage for this exciting event in the Middle Keys. The Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge TV preview will continue right here on TCI Channel 5 in just a moment. Welcome back to the 1988 Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge TV preview. I'm your host, JR. And, of course, tomorrow's race starts at noon. What does the race course look like? Well, Jim Hendrick has a complete look at tomorrow's Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge race course right here on the TCI Channel 5 preview. Here's Jim.
Deck navigation, of course, plays a big part in all offshore ocean racing. This is the way the course lays out. The boats will proceed south from the start-finish line to check boat number 1 and make a left turn under the 7-mile bridge, traveling east to Sombrero Key, making a turn north at check boat number 2, and continuing north for 10.5 miles to check boat number 3 and on to West Turtle Shoal. Then it's on to check boat number 4, turning south off of Fat Deer Key. The boats then travel south to the 7 Mile Bridge, turning right under the bridge, around check boat number 5, north back to the start finish line. Now the open and modifieds make this run 4 times. Pro Stock, Stock A and Stock B make 3 laps, and the smaller boats make only 2 laps to complete this course.
Well, we just about completely set the stage for this 1988 Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge. It's going to be a great race. We're very excited about it. And with the rough waters that will be accompanying the race off marathon, it'll just add a new twist to this 3rd annual event. One of the major events sponsored by the TDC that make it all possible. One of the great things that happens in the Florida Keys. Of the more than 50 boats that are registered, there are 2 new racers from Key West, believe it or not. And you should be looking for them. Root them on tomorrow in Marathon. They are the Crack Kongs, which will be racing in Sportsman B class. It's the B41 boat, driven by George Cabanas and throttled by Ronnie Martinez. And Billy Cabanas will be on board as the navigator. And also, racing in the stock classification will be the Conch Attack, which is number S40. That's Craig and Scott Cates aboard in that 24-foot skater. It's a red hull boat with twin 200 horsepower Mercuries as they race in stock class. So there's 2 new Key West racers on the circuit. It's going to be a great race, and we hope that you get up there. See Blue Lightning as they're filming the MGM release. As we said earlier, expecting crowds of up to 15,000 people to line the shores of Marathon, to line the 7 Mile Bridge, to be in spectator boats all around the Marathon area. So it's going to be a very, very exciting event. And with Blue Lightning filming for the motion picture release in '89, the possibility stands that in a crowd somewhere, you might be in the movie. Get on up with the whole family and enjoy it. And take your radio along with you. We, of course, the WOW FM and WKIZ AM will be broadcasting live. Yours truly, JR, right off of the Faro Blanco, will be racing right off the start-finish line, and I'll be joined by the world's foremost authority on offshore, John Krause, as he broadcasts from Ted Thioli's 63-foot Magnum Marine Racer, the boat that won the Miami to Nassau race. He'll be broadcasting back to me, and we'll have reports from Turn 1 right off the 7 Mile Bridge. That's coverage on WKIZ AM 1500 and WOW 92.5 FM, the official voice of the Conch Republic Club. As we have just about done it, set the stage for this race. Some boats to watch for in Super Class. Watch, of course, for the Popeyes and the Jesse James. In the Open Class, the Swiss Shore Motor Yachts boat, the Canadian Homes boat, the Thriller boats, the Jaguar Marine boats, Spirit of America. They're all names to watch for. Get on out with everyone in the family and enjoy the 1988 Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge, presented to you by the Conch Republic Offshore Powerboat Race Association. This has been JR. We'll be back next week with County Commissioner Mike Puto to tell you all about tomorrow's race as it happened. That's Friday, of course, at 8 o'clock right here on TCI Channel 5 for the Bud Light Marathon Offshore Challenge TV special. This has been JR for TCI Channel 5. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you race day tomorrow. It all begins at noon.
TCI Channel 5 and Plantation Key Marina.